when I go to meetups and I meet new investors, as I get to talking to them and they find out that I went from 0 units to over 100 units in 4.5 years, they all want to know the same thing. How did you do it? And the truth of the matter is, there is a good point to asking that question, but also you don't want to just try to do exactly what David Grabner did. You need to do what you do, because it's going to be different. You need to start from the beginning and start with the process. So today I decided to talk about the tool that actually allowed me to do it. And I think this one tool and understanding how it works is probably something that people don't completely understand and don't realize the power of. And I'm talking about leverage. Leveraging other people's money. And there's 2 parts to that. Most people understand the first part. You use someone else's money to buy an asset and get cash flow, and you're able to get more cash flow than you would and you were just using your own money. I mean, people who are flipping and using hard money lenders, they're using the same thing. And that's the amazing thing about real estate, is it's one of the few investments that you can safely and consistently use other people's money and leverage it to increase your returns. So how this works on the cash flow side is, say you had $100,000. You could either buy an investment property for $100,000 and get a 7% return on your money. So at the end of 1 year, you would have $7,000. Or you can take that $100,000 and divide it up into 20% increments, so buy 5 properties for $20,000 instead. And that would increase your return in this scenario to a 10% return. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes you do have negative leverage, and if that's the case, you do not want to buy that deal. If the leverage is causing your return to go down, it's not something you need to be in. So, in the case where you took the $20,000 and used it as a down payment, you leveraged someone else's money to increase your return. Now the return has gone up to 10%. So instead of making $7,000 a year, you're now making $10,000. And that's the first part of leverage. And like I said, most people understand this. When a flipper uses hard money lending, they pay a high interest rate, but they know at the end they're going to sell it and make $20,000, $30,000 or whatever, and they will have made that and not had to spend any of their own money. They leverage someone else's money. What I want to talk about now is the second part of leverage that you get when you buy and hold real estate. And this part of it is something that many people don't pay attention to. And when I first started investing, all I was thinking about was cash flow leverage. I wasn't thinking about the second part of leverage, which is the leverage on equity. And now leverage always amplifies what you do. That can be good or bad. It can amplify it negatively, or it can amplify it positively. Let me explain. When you got this 5 rental properties for $20,000 each, you only put $20,000 down, but they're all worth $100,000. So now you have $500,000 worth of asset. Your net worth is still that $100,000 that you put as a down payment, but the total asset worth is $500,000. If you had just paid cash, your total asset worth would only be $100,000. Exactly. So when the market increases, and I'm not even talking about this crazy appreciation we're seeing right now, or forced appreciation by increasing rents and that sort of stuff. I'm just talking about normal, overall, average cost of living increase, inflation of just 2%. Just a simple 2% increase every year. So if you have one property for $100,000 and you increase the 2%, what is your return on that? $2,000, exactly, 2% of your $100,000 investment. So you've now made a 9% return, 7% from your cash flow, and another 2% from your appreciation, so a 9% return. Okay, not bad. You're doing about a little bit better than stock markets, or about where stock markets are at on the long term. However, if you leveraged your money and you had $500,000 worth of properties, now you get 2% on all $500,000. Not just on your $100,000 equity, you get 2% on the $500,000 total value. So that comes out to be Exactly, $10,000. So now you've made $10,000 from cash flow, and you've made $10,000 from your appreciation, which means you've got another 10% return. So just the 2% of inflation has caused your return to become a 20% return. I mean, it's powerful stuff. And that's not even talking about how with multifamily and apartment complexes, you can force your appreciation and you can make this go on a massive scale. So keep in mind, leverage can be negative as well. How does that work? Let's say, for instance, the market goes down by 2% instead of up, which can happen at times. If the market goes down, I mean, it can even go more. It can go 10, 20, 30, 50% the market go down. If the market goes down and you have those 5 properties and it goes down 2%, well, how much money have you lost? You've lost $10,000. And in the scenario where you just bought the one house, you've only lost $2,000 because the 2% works both ways. That's why it's very important that your first portion, the cash flow portion of leverage, is working for you all the time. If your property doesn't cash flow and you have negative leverage on your equity, you're going to be in a difficult situation. Because we know over time, 90% of the time, your real estate is going to appreciate in its market. It might go up and it might go down, but eventually it's going to go up. And if your cash flow, if you're always positive on your cash flow, you can weather those ups and downs, and just a simple 2% increase over time can give you a 10% return on your money that you invested. So that's just a little bit about leverage. I'll talk some more about some other tools in the future.